Hi, I'm Gina Wells.
Hi, I'm Kat Toon.
And this is the Success Principles Podcast. Michigan is known as the birthplace of Motown, headquarters to the auto industry, and home of the beautiful Great Lakes. The Success Principles Podcast features professionals and entrepreneurs with ties to this great state who have demonstrated innovation and success both within and outside of our Mittens border.
Hello, and thank you for joining us today. Our guest is Brad Tiernan, president and owner of Draft Horse Brewery in New Hudson, Michigan. Welcome, Brad.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
Right off the bat, I want to clarify. That's pronounced draft, correct? It's spelled D-R-A-U-G-H-T, but it's pronounced draft.
Yeah, one of our most popular questions that we get asked. We'll get offices call up and say, hey, settle a bet. How do you pronounce the name of your brewery? And then you tell them, and you'll just hear the whole office like erupt and say, I told you.
And that's the English spelling, though, correct?
Yeah, it's like the old English draft beer spelling, and it's a little play on words because of the draft horses are a type of horse.
Okay.
And we just put it together and had some fun with it.
That's great.
That's cool.
So tell me a little bit about your brewery and how you got started in the brewing business.
Sure. Quite simply, I had a friend who was home brewing in his kitchen, and he said, "Come over, it's fun." I was like, "Yeah, okay," and we're just on the stove making these little pots of beer, and I was like, "Wow, that was fun. I want to try it myself." And then I graduated into doing it like in the garage, and my wife loved that. And then she said, "You know what? You can open a brewery if we can get rid of all your homebrew equipment." So I was in graduate school at the time, and that's when every project that we had to do, everything, I would just create a business plan and all of the pro forma sheets and everything involved with starting a business. I would link it and relate it to this brewery, and I just kept brewing, and I was just slowly building a business plan and going to different breweries to brew with them, kind of like interning, so to speak, because I was working at a country club at the time. Mm-hmm. So I was like brewing beer for them from these larger breweries and learning the ropes. And it just, the stars aligned, and I was able to show a detailed business plan to the right investor, and we could raise the money to get started.
Awesome.
Wow.
And you probably did a lot of research too, right?
Research and development is the most important thing.
That's the fun part. But I hear you. I can sympathize with your wife. My husband's a home brewer too, and it can get kind of.
When you start, and the whole house smells like grape nuts.
Yep, exactly. Grape nuts. That's the smell. Totally. Yep.
So is Kelly going into brewing, Kat? Is that what you're saying?
He's a home brewer. I don't think we're going to open a brewery, though, and I don't know. If
Brad,
you get it out of the house that way, though, that was pretty brilliant on your wife's part.
Yes. So, Brad, did you have business experience? Tell us a little bit first, if you don't mind, about your Michigan roots, where you grew up, what education, how did you get to become a brewer?
Sure. By chance. I mean, those days with my friend in his garage and then in the kitchen, and that's the brewing part of it. When I was in undergrad, I was always going to own something. I just didn't know what it was. I said, I want to own my own business, be an entrepreneur, and I don't know how I'm going to do that. I don't know what I'm going to do yet. And then brewing fell into my lap. I did grow up in Auburn Hills, Michigan, and then we moved to Clarkston before ending up in Milford, which is just south of here. So it's a nice 4-minute drive to work. No, 7-minute drive to work. Sorry, not 4.
Oh, nice.
I don't want to exaggerate. And and yeah, basically my undergrad was in business management, and I was working for restaurants and country club, first restaurants and then country club, and prior to opening the business. And country club was always in food and beverage. Food and beverage director for a couple of different country clubs. just getting my roots. I find that, yes, the piece of paper is important to show perseverance, but the on hands on hands-on experience is the most important thing for me to move into. I believe for everyone, but I guess skilled trades might be a little bit different than a business degree. So you kind of mix it in. I consider brewing to be a trade of sorts.
For sure.
There are schools for it now, which is kind of cool. And I've had a lot of students come through in the last 5 years, and I've learned from them, and they've learned from me. It's great.
That's awesome. No, you said you always knew that you wanted to be an entrepreneur. You always knew you were going to own a business. Why? What about that appealed to you?
Honestly, I think it's, to be honest with you, the freedom involved with it, the sense of satisfaction, knowing that you've created something from the ground up and that you're kind of in control of your own destiny to an extent. You're following P&Ls, trying to be 3 steps ahead. Just, it's all the monitoring things to make sure that if you do have a pandemic, that you're ready for it and that you can overcome it without saying, oh, we got to close our doors, pandemic or not. I mean, before any of this, businesses were closed. The first 5 years, the percentages of businesses closed. You hear that stat all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And, after opening, you set new goals that were never going to be one of those stats, and eventually, hopefully, you'll sell the business or you'll hand it over to your family or, all of the American dreams.
Mm-hmm.
There you go. So did you graduate from Milford, and then where did you graduate from college?
I graduated from Auburn Hills, Avondale for high school. And then my undergrad was at Oakland University, and then my graduate school was Baker.
Oh, great. And that was in business school.
I got an MBA, and I concentrated on finance. And I found that to be crucial for running a business because you can understand money, because fiscal discipline is another one of the most important things, because without that, and I've found myself falling into, oh yeah, we can buy that. No, we can buy that in 2 years. If projections are good, we can buy it in 2 years. We're not buying that right now. We're not buying it on credit, things like that.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. So you had mentioned COVID and the pandemic and how it's affecting your business. How are you guys doing? How's it? You had to get creative.
I can tell you that when we were forced to close down, we did curbside, and we offered half off all of our beer to go. So we had a line every day in our parking lot, and our sales weren't what they were pre-closing down, but we were able to stay afloat, especially with the programs that were offered out there, the payroll protection program and other grants. There was an Oakland County grant that we ended up getting. And then once during all that time, we were just anticipating what was going to happen during reopen, how they would do it, and it's all speculation, what we think is going to happen. And what we ended up doing was we put a huge tent outside. We have this beer trailer that we park over by a fire pit, and there's tents over there. So we loaded up the outside, and 6 feet apart and all the rules, but so we only have like 7 or 8 tables and no bar seats right now inside our business, and outside is everything else. And we set a record for our best July since we've opened. And this
Congratulations!
Wow.
Yeah, somebody will say, "How's business?" And I say, "Good," and they're like, "Good? What do you mean good?" Like,
I know.
It's actually really good. We got a lot of people coming out to see us right now, and they're very supportive out here.
That's great. Well, beer's good then. The beer is good.
I like it.
The beer is
great. I'd like to say that it's good if I make it, right? I'm a little biased.
Yeah.
Well, I
good.
I want to know a little bit about the beer. Tell me about, some of your flagships and
we brew all styles. We don't focus on any one there's breweries that'll focus on German styles or all American styles or New England IPAs or stout.
Mhm.
We focus on keeping our list fresh. We have two brew systems. We have a 10-barrel system, and that produces like 20 kegs at a time.
Wow.
This one we put our cores into. We have a foundation IPA, a chocolate peanut butter stout that people drive for miles to come try.
Mhm.
Tastes like a Reese's. It's really good. And then a blonde ale, a Kolsch, all the ones that are normal where you go in and try it. I want to try these. Then we have a small system. It's a 2.5-barrel system. So we get about 5 kegs per batch, and we can go through that in a week, 2 to 3, depending on the style. So when people come in, they're like, it's like a new brewery every time I come in here, besides the ones. And if there's nothing on the specialty list, then you can just get one of our core beers, which is kind of fun. So we have, we rotate through a lot of Belgians and American ales. We'll do lagers here and there, but we're mostly an ale house.
Do you get
So
crazy
if some,
with the specialty tap? With the do you do like some weird stuff ever, like banana beer or something?
Crazy these days is a relative term, because if everything's crazy, then nothing's crazy. Am I right? So we do try to do things that make people go, "Oh my gosh, I got to get in there and try that." Like right now, you could go on to our website, and the beer list is always live. There's one switcher that updates everywhere, which is really cool.
Hey, Brad, do a shout out of your website right now, if you don't mind. We'll have it on the thing, but.
So it's www and then draft horse.
Nice.
Might go on there right now.
.com.
Yeah, sweet. So you also have hats, T-shirts for sale, all the good stuff.
We do indeed. I don't have
beer
any more of these.
koozies.
People tend to like this, but I got these when we first opened, and I still wear them. Everybody's like, I want one of those. But we need to get some polos for people too.
Yeah,
Cool.
Sorry, I just looked up your website, and I see a wild hamberry sour.
Yep.
A sangria, a pineapple, a habanero Kolsch. I mean, how have I not been down there yet? Oh, okay. Yeah.
There's usually
We're going, Kat.
I know.
We don't have
Kat, we're doing a.
Yeah, we'll do a little.
Now, do you serve lunch? Do you serve food with your beers?
We do. We're open at 11 a.m. every day except for Monday. Monday we open at 4, like our catch-up day, our maintenance day. If anything needs done out there, we can do it early before we have to open. And we have a full menu. We smoke a lot of our own meats in the smoker out back. Can you imagine the smell on the days that we're brewing and smoking at the same time? People get out and their mouths watering before they walk in. It's kind of fun.
Yeah.
But the menu's on the website as well. We do build your own mac and cheese, and flatbread pizzas, and burgers. Good stuff. I like the food too, but again, I seem to be biased.
How many employees do you have, Brad? Who's your support group helping you do all of this?
Sure. My main guy is my general manager, Ben. He's been around since before we opened. He helped build the place, and he has been with me the whole time. I've got a couple of servers that have been with me most of the time. Currently, we have 18 employees, down from 22 at our max, and we're trying to hire more at this point. We've had some stuff out on Indeed, and we actually have a couple of new hires that seem to be working out pretty well. And I can be able to count them in. Then on the next payroll, we'll probably be back up in the 20s like we were.
Yeah.
Now, in Success Principles. Yeah. With Success Principles, we always ask our business owners, what keeps your team together? What is it that you do to help your team stay cooperative and help you build the business that you have?
Well, communication, I know you probably hear that a lot, and that's the generic answer, but it's true. And giving them the tools they need to succeed too. If we can provide them with what they need to do what we're asking of them, then it's a lot easier for them versus the complaining servers, because this industry is tough to hold staff. There's always traditionally been a lot of turnover in the industry. And we've been pretty fortunate. We've gone through a couple of not so good times with staff, but in general, most of the time we've had a very good staff that we communicate with and give them the tools they need to succeed.
So
that's
tell
great.
me about some of those not good times. Has it always been, I mean, you have to have had challenges building your business along the way. Tell us about some of those.
Well, when we first started, a lot of it had to do with the township, and they didn't have microbreweries in the B2 business district that we're in. So we had to work with them to write them into there without jeopardizing what we were trying to do, because they were trying to, put a lot of limitations on wastewater and everything else. And we had to convince them and show them with the staff that our size brewery is not going to wreak havoc on their wastewater and everything else. So we got it all written in. We got the small winemaker written in, and so microbreweries and winemaker. And then we were finally able to open, but we had to jump through a lot of hoops to get approved because they were still worried about the wastewater. So we're excavating in the back these huge holding tanks that we can test the water before the water gets released into the city's sewer system. And just a lot of things jumping through these hoops to get open. Once you got open, that's when the real struggles happen, but not really. They've been a good township to work with, and the employee struggles, they come and go. I think you get a couple of, like, I don't want to say bad apples, but some employees that are cancerous to the rest. They're just spreading things and making things a bad environment to work in. And once we weed through those, everything kind of brightens up again.
Mm-hmm.
There you go. That's good. You had mentioned, so did you build your building? I mean, you built this from scratch?
The building existed, but it was almost worse. I wish we had built it from scratch. We had to gut it, and we had to rip out all the electric. We had to jackhammer a bunch of the concrete, because it was 4-inch concrete. And if you can imagine, when you've got 600 and some gallons of liquid in these tanks, it's putting a lot of weight down. So we had to lay 8-inch concrete where all the tanks and equipment are, and it was an ordeal. It felt like it took forever, but it truly only took from February of 15 to September of 15 to get open. And I know
wow.
At the time, it seemed like it was years and years of construction. But
and that's all stuff you had to learn as you went, right? I mean, this isn't stuff that you probably anticipated.
A lot along the way. I was fortunate enough to be in some leadership roles at restaurants and country clubs, as I stated, and that really helped, because a lot of the things you're running into, the construction, though, if that's what you're referring to, I was learning a lot as we went, and I still am. We'll be making some changes, or we'll have an electrical failure that doesn't have anything to do with DTE, and we're up in the ceiling, and we're like, wow, these contractors did not do a very good job in some aspects. So if I were a little more savvy at the time, I could have checked their work, so to speak, or been able to follow up a little better. But the ignorance there is just something that I have to learn along the way, because there is a lot. I'm still learning, and I don't plan on stopping learning. Continued education in any industry is the most important thing.
Yeah, so you'll know your second location, right?
Yeah, when it's time. But again, that's one of those things that one of the first things I said is that fiscal discipline. People will jump into second locations. They'll jump into bottling and canning. They'll jump into a little production facility when they're truly just not ready. Your margins are in your tap room, and we focus on the tap room, and we'll do that until it's busting out at the seams, and we have to have a second location.
Yeah.
So you've been in business for 5 years.
Correct. September
and who
is our 5-year
has been?
anniversary.
Well, congratulations! Happy early anniversary. We'll be down there definitely. Who has been your most famous customer?
Wow, that would be Ross.
Who?
His name's Ross.
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 Oh, you mean famous like a Well, our best customer has been Ross. We'll see him most days.
Okay.
You don't
Okay.
start to wonder, and you're like, somebody get a hold of Ross and see if he's okay. Famous. I feel like there has been a couple, but I don't recall at this time anybody like big. It's probably been like mostly local celebrities, so to speak. I mean, I'm talking to two right now, so
Thank you.
Yeah. The next podcast he goes on, it's going to be like, oh, well, our most famous will be the co-host
these
of
two
Success
down.
Principles.
That's funny.
Do you bottle? I'm sorry. Do you bottle too? Do you have your tap
Very
room?
little.
Very little.
We'll bottle up our specialty anniversary ales and stuff, and we'll can up a few once in a while. But we mainly focus on draft in the tap room, and we do distribute a little bit, so you can see it in restaurants and things like that.
You sell growlers though?
Oh, we do sell growlers to go. Yep.
All right.
Yep. And you had a bottle you were showing us earlier, your anniversary bottle. You mind picking that up and just kind of sharing with everybody?
Sure. This is our 4-year anniversary bottle, and then the next one is going to be very simply a 5 instead of the 4. It's different styles though each year. This one was a Scotch ale that we aged in bourbon barrels, so it's a bourbon barrel aged Scotch ale. This year, I don't think it'll be a barrel age. We don't have time for that, and we were very busy brewing during the shutdown of COVID, and but we're gonna have a very high octane stout that we will bottle up for our 5-year. I don't know exactly how strong it's going to be yet because it's being brewed Monday, which is kind of soon. It won't have a lot of time to age, but I like fresh beer better than aged beer anyway. And but it'll be like the one time we've done a version of this, there was a 21% stout, so you got to be very careful and drink it. We're just going to do 12 ounces of that one.
21.
So 21 ounces of alcohol content?
21% of on a beer.
20%. Yeah.
So you give your customers like little 2-ounce pours?
Yeah, we'll probably do. I don't like doing 2-ounce pours. I know some places will do that, but for that one, we'll probably do a 6-ounce pour of it, and it'll be one of those ones where you can only have one.
Yeah. Wow. All right.
Interesting.
Definitely going.
Oh no, I was just going to ask. So if you have 1, 2, 3, 4, you're going to have a fifth. Do you have like a cabinet of your most famous brews that you're really not touching, that you're saving for posterity and years to come? And
we do have empty bottles of them at my house because
the
beer will, like I said, it can last a couple years when it's a high gravity barrel age. But it does diminish, and it's not like wine where you can save it for 20, 30 plus years. The beers, after a few years, they will lose everything, and just to have a sealed bottle of it, I don't find it necessary. I can put water in it and recap it or something and just keep the bottles.
There you go. There you go.
My husband my husband had, in our old house, we had like a little under the cupboard stairs, like under the stairs we had a little cupboard, and I'd never looked in there before, and one day I opened it up and he had squirreled away like all this beer, like cases and cases of beer. I was like, what's happening here? Why have you not shared this with me? Why do I not know about this? And same thing, they only lasted a few years, so he had to start drinking them, of course. So
well, once you found out where they were at, I'm sure it didn't take long.
Not at all.
Hey, Brad, do you sell kegs like to parties and weddings? And I heard you say kegs earlier. They make so many kegs, but do you sell kegs?
Yeah. During when most people were off work, we were selling a lot of the they're called 6 barrels. They're called skinny kegs that'll fit in someone's kegerator. And we've sold a number of those, especially when people were off work. They had not much better to do, I guess.
Yeah. Now, do they put a deposit and then they return it and then you have to clean them out to use them again? How does all that? Because right now I heard in Michigan, this is from a representative of a Sam's Club store, because they said that there's not a lot of aluminum because nobody's returning their aluminum. So we're having a little bit of an aluminum shortage because nobody's returning their returnable cans.
Oh yeah.
That's from
People
a store
will
clerk.
return-
So
People will return these just because they want more beer. So the deposit, if they wanted that keg, it would be more expensive for them to buy one than pay for the deposit.
Okay.
Brad,
Is that what you do?
Yeah, we'll just get more if we had to.
what do you
Right.
see? What do you see coming for the craft beer industry, and more specifically, what's coming for you guys?
I see, unfortunately, we were getting up to record numbers of microbreweries that we haven't seen since the late 1800s. And that was when
Wow.
everybody had their local pub, that brewed their own beer. And then it died out with the big three, Miller, Coors, Anheuser-Busch. But they, as the microbrew, craft brew started getting back into the picture, everything was growing. I think there were crazy numbers, like 7,000 or something in the country. And there's a lot of scary numbers. I know a few that have closed since the pandemic, but there's some scary numbers coming out that upwards of 60% of the microbreweries will close across the country. And what that means for us, I think that the craft beer scene is not going away. I think that people still want good beer. They want different things. They want to see what can be created next. And the fact that we are a restaurant as well keeps us afloat, because people will come for food and then they'll have craft beer, or people will come for craft beer and have food. Because there's a lot of microbreweries that don't have food. They'll have a food truck out, or they'll have like what's that called, like a surprise kitchen, or somebody come in and just serve food out of shakers. Yeah, pop up. So I think that for us, we will be able to survive it because of the food, and obviously because of everything else that we spoke of with the fiscal discipline.
And because it's good beer.
Yeah, that
Because
helps.
it's good beer, right?
That helps.
Hey, the other thing, yeah. So as a business owner, time is always, sometimes I've worked 60, 70 hours a week, right? Or whatever it may be.
Sure.
Tell me about how you plan your day so that you can successfully have a business, have a family, have a life.
Well, it's worked out well. My wife left her full-time job last year, before right at the end of last year. So the timing couldn't have been better for us, for me to step in and fill in the shoes of our old brewer, because I was just before doing the business, helping with the brewing. And then when I took over all the brewing, she was able to take over at home with kids. So our timing's been good. And yes, I hear people are like, how many hours are you putting in? And I'm like, no more than anyone else. I probably put in 40, and then it maybe a little more if something comes up. But I've got a good support team with my general manager, to where I'm not having to pull the 18-hour days, 6 days a week. You go in the wintertime, go to work in the dark, come home in the dark, never see your family. It's not the case here. I've been very fortunate.
Mm-hmm.
Good for you, Brad.
So, Brad, as we wrap up, what do you want people to know? If they could take away one thing about your business and about how you've achieved your success, what would that be?
I'd say just, if you're going into business, plan on spending 30% more than your budget, and plan on making 30% less than your budget right off the bat. And then from there, make your adjustments and never stop learning. And just stay positive, because the negative atmosphere will affect everyone around you, especially when you come face to face with customers. In industry.
Sure.
There's certain industries that you don't have to be face to face, and right now it's masked, so maybe they're making.
You can still see a smile underneath the mask, can't you?
You can, yeah.
Very true,
Yeah.
especially with these squinty eyes that I have here.
Thank you so
That's
much
great.
for being on our podcast. This is really fun. It doesn't get better than talking about beer, right? So
Right.
That's my
I'm really
life. I
happy.
get to do it every day.
And you
For
better be
those,
there. We're going to be there, Gina, you and I.
yeah, I'm ready. For those, Brad, who have watched this and say, hey, I saw you on Gina and Kat Success Principles. Do you have any specials for them?
Oh, sure. Have them come in and we'll take half off a beer for them. So.
All right. Thanks, Brad. I was just doing that for
Yeah.
Kat and I so we could get half off our beer.
Well, you guys just let me know when you're coming. You'll get taken care of.
All right. Great.
I'll have
Well,
to
thank you
like,
so much, Brad.
Get out of here, Gina and Kat. We're closing. All right. Thank you so much. We'll put all your information below in the show notes so that people can find you, your website, your information, your hours, all of that. And thank you so much. And we'll talk to you later.
All right. You guys have a
All
good
right.
one.
We'll see you.
Thank you so much for listening to our show. We know your time is valuable, and we appreciate that you have taken the time to stop by for a bit.
For more information about the topics we discussed today, there are links in the show notes for your reference. If you'd like to learn more about the Success Principles podcast and about Kat and myself, go to www.successprinciplespodcast.com. Gina Wells is an investment advisor representative of Retirement Wealth Advisors Incorporated, an SEC registered advisor. Success Principles podcast and RWA are not affiliated. Exposure to ideas and financial vehicles discussed should not be considered investment advice or recommendation to buy or sell any financial vehicle. This information should not be considered tax or legal advice. Individuals should consult with professionals specialized in fields of tax, legal, accounting, or investments regarding the applicability of the information for their situation. Past performance is not a guarantee of future results. Investments will fluctuate and when redeemed may be worth more or less than originally invested.